So I think in the analysis techniques, we have one left, that is the root cause analysis. So for the root cause analysis, it's usually like you're going to find out there is a problem statement, and you're going to find out what is the problem. Okay, so that's when you're going to do this analysis. This is basically like when you have a production issue and you're going to find out like why this is happening, or it can be a production issue, or it can be like a long-term business issue in the sense like business is having this problem for a very long time and they want to find solution. Okay, so business owners are um, having some kind of problem, and they're coming to you like to IT people and they want to like resolve this business issue, right? So those kind of scenarios, what you will do is you need to find out the you need to like under write down what is the problem, and you need to do this analysis. So this one of the techniques is like, as I said earlier, fishbone technique. So you can use that fishbone technique for doing the root cause analysis, or you can make sure like you write down, you can ask the business owners on how frequently you're seeing this problem, and who are the impacted users. When the problem arises, how do you resolve, and how do you want IT team to help you? And then you figure out, of course, with your engineers, you do that analysis and you come up with solutioning. So this all the solutioning process is usually like you need help of a technical team. So either a lead engineer is involved or an architect is involved in usually the solutioning. Okay, so if they ask you about, tell me about the analysis or other techniques that you have used as PA, you can always say gap analysis, SWOT analysis, cost benefit analysis, stakeholder analysis, impact analysis, and root cause analysis. Okay, these are the five different types of analysis that you have done as a BA. This you can explain this in like 2 to 5 minutes, and you can give like a real-time example, whatever example. So don't answer theoretically, you need to answer with like some kind of project based. So you have to go from like, in my last project, this is how I did gap analysis. In my previous projects, this is how I did stakeholder analysis. Or if you're a beginner and you don't have any kind of experience, only then you're going to like answer theoretically. Okay, so the next question is conflict with stakeholders. How do you like resolve it? So um, conflict with stakeholders usually arises during elicitation sessions. So for example, business owners are not very cooperative. Let's say they are from different time zones, and one is from EST time zone, one is from CST time zone, and one is from PST time zone, and you need to find like a like a common time for them, right? There itself the problem will start. So they won't join the calls, and if they don't join the calls, you cannot like gather the requirements. So um, you need to make sure, first of all, when you identify the stakeholders itself, when you identify and you do the stakeholder analysis, and when you write down everybody's who is a primary stakeholder, secondary stakeholder, who are all like all these high priority stakeholders, you have to ask them which time zone are you working, and make sure like in most of the calls the high priority stakeholders are available. So you have to become flexible, and if you feel like this person is needs to be in the next call, and you adjust the schedulings and everything according to that person's availability. Okay, so usually first is like they have to be present in the call, and they may join the call and they will not know the agenda. So when you're sending the email, like make sure like when you're scheduling the meetings, like please add in the notes like what is the agenda for this call, and then like you need to attach any other documents that they have to review before this call. And you can also list down the questions so that they are well prepared when they're coming to this call. Otherwise, like usually like they join and they don't know, right? So they'll be like keep telling like, no, I have to check with this person, I have to check with that person. So that time, like whenever you're joining the call, is not very productive. And if you do this a couple of times, let's say that for the third time you're again scheduling the call and you're not prepared for that call, that's when like they get frustrated and they're not going to attend anymore. Then they lose interest in that project. They feel like you're not capable, and you don't have that leadership quality to gather requirements, right? Then they start escalating, like they so they'll be like, okay, this person is they keep scheduling the calls, but they're not like very productive in the calls, and they don't know how to gather requirements. That's the very first. So especially if you don't have any experience in all this scheduling calls, sending notes, and you don't know what type of questions to ask, and you're not thoroughly prepared, and you have no kind of B experience, you need to make sure that before you schedule the calls, identify the stakeholders, their time zones, and send them, like when you schedule the call, make sure that you send in the meeting itself, invite itself, what is the agenda for this call, and what are the questions that that will be addressed, and how well the business owners needs to be prepared for that particular call. So initial conflict there you can resolve. Next is like during scope. When defining scope, you'll have like, they will not know, they may, so defining scope, right, in scope and out of scope, there also you will have conflict, because um, they may give only like state, they will not know what does scope mean. So they'll be like, what is scope, can you tell me? So scope is, for my IT application, this is what my developer can do and cannot do. And if there are some few requirements which is not like, which cannot be done by my developer. So for example, something related to all this non-functional requirements, right? How many people can log in a particular time, and how that page could, like, for example, there is an application, like what's the volume, what's the performance it can do, and then how many users it can accommodate, that and all, like our developers, they will not have any idea. Only after the application is developed, only when we perform perf testing, they'll give an idea like how much volume that particular application can accommodate, and then what are the failures we are facing in real time. So when you are defining in scope and out of scope, and we are getting a sign off from the BRD, please make sure that you gather as much as possible and write it in scope. And out of scope also, you have to define correctly, and make sure that the business understands what is in scope and out of scope. Out of scope means our developer or our team will not be able to do it. That is the meaning of out of scope. Okay, so scope definition also. Then there's something called as scope creep, missed requirements. All the situations, like you're going to have conflict with them. Scope creep is like they are thinking like it's in scope, but your team has not done it, or they are adding additional requirements and your team is saying like, no, this was not defined earlier. This will be like a change request for us. So when the scope creep, that's when there is a major conflict, and when there are missed requirements, that's when you're going to have this blame game. And also, you are responsible, you didn't ask it, you didn't inform me, inform our team. We are business owners, we are non-technical people, we have no clue about it. Why didn't we were not informed about this earlier? And all that will come in only in missed requirements and scope creep. That is during UAT testing, or even during SIT testing, you find out like this is a business expectation, or majorly during UAT, you're going to have conflict. So that time, how do you resolve? So you're going to tell them, right? So your proof is always the BRD or the user stories, whatever document that they have signed, right? With that only you can talk. So just open the document, schedule a call, open a document, and then you say, see, this is what I have defined in scope and out of scope, and you have signed the document, right? So means whatever is not listed in scope in that particular document will be a missed requirement, or it will be additional requirements for us. Both has to take responsibility. It may be I didn't inform you or you didn't inform me. We maybe both the business owners and the IT team, we have missed this requirement. But there is no point in having conflict at this point. So you have to like move on with the solutioning process. So make sure that that call can be very heated call. So whenever you're having a scope creep or a missed requirement call, it can be very So what you have to do is just like start giving them solutions instead of focusing on who did what and then who needs to take the blame and all that. Just avoid that scenario and just say that, okay, let's focus on solutioning. And in order for us to accommodate the missed requirements on whatever scope creep, this is the process. So we have a change request process, and then we have something called as that intake, additional intake you have to submit. And I will talk with my project manager on whether, like, what is the LOE, whether we can accommodate with initial funding we already got, we can accommodate with that, or whether we need new additional funding. I can talk with my manager, but I cannot promise you anything. So when during this conflict calls, don't promise them anything, because they're very agitated, they're very irritated, and they're like start blaming your team. Don't give any false promises to them. So, and number one, and number two, you're going to make sure that they are not going to escalate to the staff VP or director level. They can escalate to your manager, which is totally fine, but they are not supposed to. I mean, you talk in such a way that they are not escalating that to the vice president or director level. you know, so to your manager escalation is fine. That person will be able to understand what's going on in the project. But staff VP level or director level, they have no clue about internally downstream, like what's happening. And so they will be like, they'll send mass emails to all the project managers, everybody, business owners, on like what's happening and all that, right? So as a lead BA, you have to make sure that convince them, make sure they are convinced, and then make sure that they just tell them that I know we missed a lot in this, but can you please submit a change request? I'll make sure that add all the missed requirements, and I will discuss with my project manager, scrum master, and the product owner, and give me like 4 to 5 hours. By end of the day, I will reply back to you. So that's
Pradeep,
yes.
sorry to disturb you. How often this scope creep or missed requirements happens? Do you have any example? Like in your entire career, how many times did
This
it
is
happen?
like, see, this is like very frequently happen because ours is agile. It's
Hmm,
very
yeah.
quick, right? This will happen very
Mhm.
frequently.
Okay.
That's why we moved from waterfall to agile, because
Yeah. Will it affect our means like, definitely like our reputation will be there, right? So like with the team, with the stakeholder and all, like
see, they're not worried about missed requirements. They are worried about how you handle it. So,
okay.
for example, they know we are all humans. We make errors. Maybe it's like you. I mean, it's not like always ID team is on the wrong side, and we try to gather requirements and document as much as possible. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
business owners also don't know what requirements to give. They also don't know from a compliance perspective. So we cannot blame them also.
Mm-hmm.
So there are sometimes like they also don't know. So for example, there is a business owner for a very long time and she left the company. And so and a new business owner is coming. She herself don't know about the process, what kind of requirements like she needs to give us and all that, right? So I don't want you to think like every time the lead BA is like he needs to be like feeling guilty here. You have to
Yeah.
understand that. So and
Mm.
also you have to understand you are just a liaison between the business owners and and your scrum team. Don't take the full project on your shoulders. Okay, you have to
Yeah,
understand that.
usually developers will be blaming us, right? Like you didn't take the proper requirement, so that we didn't do. This happens frequently. As per my experience. So, like,
Yeah,
uh,
that's why I say I have a very good rapport with my scrum team. With
okay,
my
okay,
engineers, they usually laugh at after this call. We giggle and we laugh and we are like, so
okay.
that's why I have very good rapport with my scrum
Mhm.
team, and I'm very usually very
Yeah.
friendly with my lead engineers, architects, my whole scrum team. We're very comfortable.
Mhm.
That's the bond you have to like create. So don't create a bond with your engineers on this. So internal conflicts, make sure that as a IT team, right, you have to be very united.
Mhm. Yeah.
With business owners, we understand like they are from different team, they're coming and giving you requests, that's totally fine. But within your team, right, make sure you have a very friendly bond. Don't
Okay.
have that kind of toxic culture within like your team,
Mhm.
because like this is like teamwork, right? So your engineers have to understand you, and you have
Yes.
to understand that. So you have to be very flexible with your engineers, I would say. Whoever engineers that you're working with, right, you'll be very
Mhm.
friendly with them. and understand that engineers are doing a lot, they're fixing a lot of production issues, and you are in a semi technical role, but they are in a totally technical role, right? So they are working on after hours, they are working early mornings, they are working on weekends, they are working on Friday evenings and all that. So you have to understand that even if sometimes engineers are losing their temper, you are not you don't tell that. I mean, just give them that space, like,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to make them very comfortable. And you have to, that takes some time. Oh, you cannot build a, like some rapport in a month or two, right? It takes some time. Sometime it takes 6 months, years for you to have like that friend relationship with an
Yeah.
engineer. But build that trust with the engineer, and then he should also trust you. And then whenever he's on PTO, you need to like join the calls instead of him. And when you are on PTO, make sure the engineers cover for you. That's the kind of rapport you have to like create.
Yeah.
Yeah,
While
so
creating the requirement, did we ever, I mean, security things also we need to document, right?
yeah,
Like
those will
as an
come under
agile.
non-functional requirements, yes.
Okay, yeah, means if we miss that, how the effect will be on the requirement and from the stakeholder point of view as well as security
So,
point of
so from security point, right? Like it depends upon what domain you're working. If you're working in healthcare, my experience, I work in for healthcare insurance. So
view. Yeah, it's very
usually, like it's if it can be out of compliance. For example, let's take an example of 508C compliance. That's one of the 508C compliance means that's a rule where if there is any document in the portal, okay, in a member portal, whatever document is uploaded for the member, that document should be readable by deaf and dumb. Okay, that is what 508C compliant mean. So whatever PDF that we are uploading for that particular member, irrespective of the disability of that particular member, it should be readable. So it can be like an audio need can be attached or something like braille, some kind of whatever, I don't know. But 50, it needs to be, the document needs to be 508C compliant, right? That's one of the compliance, or like from a security level also we want to make sure that they are up. So this one you cannot decide. The business owners have to tell to you if it is, if the document is not 503 compliant, means we are out of compliance. And this is
oh,
like yeah, they have to come and tell to you. If they miss that
okay. Business
requirement, then
owners
you,
will tell about regarding security concerns and all.
yes. So this is against HIPAA only, right? So again, like for
Yeah, yeah.
example, if I'm uploading a document
Okay.
and let's say that like a disabled member is there and he's not able to read it, hear it, and see it. And so now his diagnosis, since he cannot do it, so he needs help of someone, right? Somebody
Mm,
else has to like view his healthcare record, which is also security perspective is not good because it's
mm,
a violation. It's a HIPAA
mhm.
violation. Your system is not accommodating for that particular member, and the member now needs to is dependent on the other people, right? So that is also out of security. Say security means don't think only like this hacking, data leakage and all.
Yeah, yeah.
Security means like what I'm talking is like violation perspective. That is
Okay.
like data leakage, that kind of things that usually like that is handled with, IT crashes are very common. IT, all this hacks are very common. That's fine. But this is like on a member level itself, there is like you need to make sure that a secure document, encrypted.
Okay. Okay. For banking, what kind of regulations will be there? Just
That is very state specific. So, for
oh,
example,
states.
yeah, very states, but we have something called as anti-fraud team, and then like different teams are there for you to tell
Mm.
like how we need to make sure the document is populating in member portal, in mobile, in web portal, everything like that.
I heard like healthcare is state concern, but even banking is also state wise.
Banking also, there is like
Oh,
state-specific regulations are there, and it depends upon like what type of. So, for example, there is anti-money laundering. Have you heard about those kind of compliance and all?
yes,
That
yes.
and all is federal.
Okay.
Okay, so there are some like few rules, compliance rules
Mhm.
which are very federal specific, but few are like
Mhm.
state specific.
Okay.
Mm. So see, you may not know if it is very security, like if it's a security based requirement, you may not even know, right? You have to understand that perspective. So I would say, I would always tell you guys like don't feel bad if you don't know anything, and then if you don't take full responsibility on yourself, and don't get stressed about it. It takes some time for you to
Okay.
understand how IT projects work. It's a team
Yeah.
effort.
Yeah. Can we ask stakeholders like, is there any security things you want
Yes,
to
yes, you
mention
have to.
or
Yeah, during
question?
elicitation, you have to ask those questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. We can ask, right? As we don't know that.
Yeah, you don't
Or
know, no, so you have to ask like, can you tell me for this particular project, do you
okay.
have any on a contract level? Do you have any kind of like security requirements that we have to do from IT perspective?
Okay.
You have to
Sure.
ask that definitely.
Thank you.
Okay. I mean, you can ask, like, see, whatever related to that project, you should make sure that's asked in the elicitation sessions.
Yeah, and one more question, Pratibha. Like Pratibha, sorry. Like when client is giving the requirement, what is that? I'm sorry, I
Yeah.
missed the question. I'll ask you whenever I
Okay,
remember.
okay.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
whenever you have conflict with stakeholders, if they ask this in the interview, you always give with like scenario based answers only. For example, I had a conflict when defining scope. In this project, this is the scope that we defined, and this is what was considered as in scope. This is what I documented as in scope, and these are the requirements I documented as out of scope. And there was a missed requirement, and I found this missed requirement in the UAT testing. Then I had conflict with my stakeholders. Then this is how I resolved. So take at least 2 to 3 minutes to answer this question, and always go by with practically like with whatever you've done in that project, right? Take one scenario. So before the interview itself, you need to like write it down, what scenario I'm going to say for this particular question, and what are the scenarios I'm going to, what is the solutioning I gave for this particular scenario. You're going to write it down, practice it very well.
Yeah.
Only then it will be very normal for you when you answer in the
Yeah.
interview.
Yes. Before that is what that is my question actually. So before the elicitation call, we will get the requirement like just this kind of requirement by either by email or something, right? So before going to stakeholder, do we prepare regarding that particular requirement? Do we just do some back end work and before going to interview and all like will shall do we do that or in
Yeah,
the
so
in
so for that, so let's say like that, let's say like this OCR project, right? This OCR project. Let's say
okay.
like you have done for before for California market, and now Georgia market business owners are coming to you. Means you know the process already, right? You
Yes.
know what it takes to automate, how many teams are like involved, what kind of UAT testing, whatever scenario, what are the UAT scenarios, you know end to end about this process. So in that
Mhm.
case, it's easy peasy for you. You can directly schedule calls because end to end you already know. You
Yes.
were done it already. Now you know for you're going to do for a different market, so you know it. But let's
Mhm.
say you're this is a brand new
Chatbot.
project from, yeah, yes,
Mhm.
that time you don't know.
Yeah.
That time you yourself don't know like what is the
Okay.
process, how many teams are going to be involved, so what is the like technical requirements and scope level and all, you don't know, right? So what you
Yeah.
can do, if you're going to get a requirement, if you're going to get a project where you don't have any prior experience, just check with your colleagues, other lead BAs, like, or your project manager also, like, do you think like, can you share some kind of like documents or resource or materials which I can go through? And
Mm.
if they can help, they will help. But if you don't find any help, then I think the very first call should be very friendly call. Don't ask them any questions then.
Okay.
Okay, so like just mingle with them and then like try to figure out what is this project, what is the business need for this.
Okay.
Okay, so why do you want us to do this? What is the business need? And like we don't have any, our team has no prior experience on this.
Mm.
This is going to be a brand new project for us itself. Like all these AI projects is something like
So,
that.
yeah, in the first call itself, if we can't ask all the questions, just taking the requirements, whatever we know, we ask question. Again, can we schedule a call?
Yes, you can schedule the call. So scheduling calls, right?
Yeah.
Don't do it very frequently.
Yeah, that is what.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't schedule a call today and don't do it tomorrow. They get
Mm.
frustrated. Okay.
Yeah.
So you just schedule a call today. Then you just understand what needs to be done, do your research, and you know whom to
Mm.
bring into the call. Next call, like whom should I bring? My team, like who can answer this? Or
Yes.
how can I improve? The next call needs to be very productive, right? So give them at least two. business days, some kind of time, do your research, and then only schedule the call. That time, if you're able to have some kind of information, then send that in the meeting invite itself. These are the questions I'm going to ask, and there are so many unknowns in this project, so I need additional input from the SMEs. Like that, you have to like make sure in the invite itself you detail about what kind of college this is going to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank
because see, because you keep scheduling these calls and it's not productive, then people lose interest in those calls.
you.
They are
Yes,
like, you're asking the same question again and again, and I don't
yes.
want to join this call, right? So
Mhm.
how to improve the call? That is in your hands.
Okay. Some stakeholders, will they give any document kind of thing for requirement, or no one gives any document kind of thing? That's just over the call only they will tell.
No, no. Sometimes, like for example, in healthcare and all, we get document. Ours is like very state specific requirements in
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, especially, right? So
Yeah.
very state specific requirements we have. So usually the state of that particular, let's say North Carolina state will give some kind of document to us.
Mm-hmm.
It is not very technical, but some kind of requirements to business
Yeah.
owners, and business
Yeah.
owners have to decode that and
So
tell
that we
to
can do some
IT.
research, right, with that
Correct.
document.
With that document. So for
Yeah.
example, one example is this, we have a website called CMS.
Mm-hmm.
So let me share screen. So the CMS is nothing but it's a federal entity. So if you see here, CMS Center of, so if you see, this is official website of United States government. So usually, like any kind of major healthcare, like if the rules are changed on a federal level, usually it is somewhere, it is displayed here. Okay, so any kind, for example, in 2026, they are adding some kind of this new program, and all the insurance companies have to accommodate to that. Then, like see, for example, it is $50 billion funding allocated to approved states, $10 billion funding every year for the year 2026, and it's up to 2030. So this is like, there's something called as rural healthcare in America, and there is a law that is being stated in the by the current government, and they are displaying it here. So its eligibility is 50 states are eligible, and to receive this program award. Now, as a healthcare insurance company, we have to make sure that this particular program is launched by us, and we need to make sure that people who are enrolling this particular program, they need to get the services as decided by the government. So they just publish it here. This is the official website of US, and they just publish it here. And so from here, the business owners has to tell us, so they know high level, this is the program, and this we have to make sure that um, we have to launch this program. But they will communicate with CMS, and CMS usually gives some kind of documentation to our business owners. Only then business owners will come to us. You understand? So the first, some kind of, like, usually in an official website, it can be a state website or it can be a federal government website, some
Mhm.
kind of rule will be displayed, and
Yeah.
they will be making sure that this is an act, so one big beautiful bill act. And then from there it will come to business owners, to from there it will come to IT teams,
Mm-hmm.
and they will give some, if it's from government, means some kind of documentation will be there for that project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So this enhancements projects in banking, like in the website, like a front end, they keep changing the like they'll say, right, if you take credit card like a 365 checking bonus on us kind of thing, just in a front end. How
Mm-hmm.
much time does that kind of requirements take actually? Because
that
this
that
keep
is
changing.
usually, see, yeah, that is usually like in 2 week sprints.
Okay, okay,
Mhm. So because if you see, that is like they want to make sure, like depending upon the season and how competitor benefits are there, accordingly they
yes,
also need to give benefits, right? So
yeah,
if, let's say, competitor, if Chase is giving like $500 reward
yes,
for a
yes.
member, then these people have to, like, Wells Fargo will be like, we'll give $600. So
Uh-huh.
it's very competitive. We don't know what our competitor is launching usually, so it takes 2 week sprints.
Okay, all these things, like they're saying, like open online email code and all these frequently asked questions. Everything in that will be in that thing. So will everything will be done in 2 weeks?
It has to be. And see,
Okay.
Amazon, Facebook, they are going every day.
Oh, okay.
Yes, they are going
Wow.
live. Yes, yes, every day they will go live. When there is
Oh.
project based social media, their updates, YouTube updates, Instagram updates, Facebook
Mm-hmm.
updates, Twitter, and all, they go live every day
Okay.
because there's it's very social media and all, right? They frequently, like, they don't know what their competitors are doing.
Yes.
They have to, so that is product level, like product based companies, like they're on a different level in agile. But ours is like, at least in banking, healthcare and all, we have at least 2 weeks time.
Okay.
But if you're going like product based, right? Usually, mostly if you
Yes.
see, right, every day the pages there will be updates. If you see,
Yes.
it will constantly changing depending on, for example, Amazon, you have Prime Day, you have like so many days coming, you have like all this, depending upon holidays they have to change, add products, delete products, give all this coupons, and then make sure. So they are going live almost every day they go live.
Okay.
Okay. So so then we have like, so this is how you're going to answer conflict with stakeholders. How did you resolve it? You can have like, you can tell multiple situations, but make sure that you answer that's this question with some kind of practical scenario. And so this is like you showcasing yourself as a BA. You can handle conflicts, and you can have. So there's a question on like, how do you handle negative stakeholders? That is also a question. So what do you mean by negative stakeholders? Negative stakeholders in the sense like they don't want the project to happen. Who are those kind of people? Usually it will happen in migration projects. For example, migration projects, let's say from mainframe, and the application needs to move to some kind of like a different, let's say mainframe to Pega. I'm just giving an example. Mainframe. So the business owner is very comfortable with this mainframe like UI and then how that application works. They're very comfortable. They don't want to change to Pega. But leadership now is like forcing them. They're saying like mainframe is very outdated. Nobody works on has having a mainframe application now. Now we need to move to some kind of CRM application. But the actual business owners, right? They're not willing to have that change because they're old people. They don't want to change, right? They don't like change. So when you have call with them, they're never going to cooperate because they don't want it actually. And it's like a push from leadership. And they leadership give funding. And then they make sure that this particular application needs to be sunsetted, and then a brand new application needs to be opened for 20 end of 2026. But our stakeholders itself, right, they are not interested. So that will be like they'll come to the calls, and you ask any question, they will be like, I don't know, I like that application, why are you guys changing? And this is very complicated to understand, but it's not at all user friendly. They keep like criticizing the application, that whatever we are going to develop, right, they don't like it. So what do you do whenever there is migration projects? Then if for sure you're going to have this negative stakeholders. So as much as possible, tell them about how much training you're going to give them for this new Pega based project, what kind of demos you will give them, and tell them about the pros of using Pega instead of mainframe, and how user level it will be very useful, right? Like for whenever you're going to migrate to a CRM application, what kind of advantages it can have, how on a member level it can be very useful. And even though like initially it's very difficult to adapt for the new screen and how things are popping up, but we are there for you to give enough training and make sure the transition is very smooth. And this transition can take about 3 to 6 months, but we are there to support, huh? So that like trust you have to build with, you're going to give to the negative stakeholders, and then make slowly you're going to change them, and then make sure that they are like for they're coming to our calls, they're giving like requirements. So it's going to be very tough if they ask you about, tell me an experience on handling negative stakeholders as a BA, what do you do? So you can give this, like if there is a migration project that you have involved and systems are changing, that's when I have dealt with negative stakeholders. So what did you do as a BA? What are the techniques you followed as a BA? You can tell them. So conflict with stakeholders, these are the two things. So first of all, how did you resolve it? Then you have like, how did you handle negative stakeholders? Any questions on handling stakeholders?
No, Pradeep.
Okay. So next question is tell me a situation where you have to convince the stakeholders. So this is like mostly like you are explaining them technical requirements to them. Technical fix, data exchange, SFTP setup, all these technical items you can say. For example, they don't know what is meant by metadata file. So you keep saying like, oh, there needs to be meta. So I had this one situation where for a particular market, state is like, for example, here, no, Medicare, Medicaid. Now, CMS is saying like anybody who is enrolled in kind of this foster care program. Okay, foster care means kids who don't have parents. They are whoever enrolled in this foster care program, their documents needs to be stored, and their care documents, right? All this, whatever previous, like from the age of when they are born until till now, all their transition of care documents, all the documents basically needs to be it's with right now it's with the state. Okay, state is the only one who like, so foster care children are like adopted by state only. And once it is adopted by state, once they figure out this child doesn't have both mom and dad and nobody is there to take care of, so immediately the child will be under the state's care. Okay, so immediately child services will come and make sure that particular child is having foster care, some kind of plan. So let's say like North Carolina is having this some kind of foster care program. So a child is under the foster care program. Now all the documents for that particular child will be with the state, right? Now they have to allot some kind of insurance to that child, because in US here we don't have any government um, insurance, right? So usually they have to like send this child's documents to one of the insurance company. It can be Aetna, Cigna, it can be Optum, it can be United Health, it can be any of the insurance companies. So they have to transition those documents to one insurance company and make sure that that particular insurance company going forward will be the primary insurance for that particular child, and state will pay for that particular, for all the services for the child, state will pay, but it's through Cigna. It's through Aetna, through a private insurance, but the full responsibility will be fees and everything, cost will be covered by the state only. Now we had like a project where if there is a foster care child and their documents are there with the state, and let's say I work for Cigna now has to take care of those foster care kids, and Cigna will be paid by the state for those kids. All those documents has to come to Cigna's database. We have to load it into our system, and those documents needs to be under that particular child's folder, and it needs to be displayed to everybody, like for example authorization team, claims team, payments team, denials team, customer care team, or for everybody, right? Needs to have that access to that particular member for that particular child. So going forward for any kind of services, if a doctor calls Cigna will be able to say previously this is what the care that child has, and these are the authorizations that were approved earlier, and so you can give this is approved or denied, whatever. Cigna can will be able to take decision. So this was a project. Now business owners are coming to me and telling me that all the documents needs to be loaded. Okay, so let's get started. So the business owners are coming and telling me that, you know what, the state requirement is all the documents for foster care children needs to be loaded into our system. That's all. That's the only requirement they give. So I'm asking them like, do you know the format of the documents? What kind of documents? Okay. So first of all, I want to know what kind of documents. Do you know the format of the documents, whether they are PDF documents or some kind of Excel sheet? What kind of documents? I want to know the document type. I want to know the document type. Then how frequently these documents will be sent from state to us, whether it's a daily file, whether it's some kind of like a monthly file or a weekly file. What is the frequency of the file? Daily file, monthly file. or weekly file. Okay, what's the frequency of the file? Now, my business owners have no clue on what does format mean, what does doc type mean, and they also don't know about frequency. All they know is like state has a mandate like this, and this needs to be done within like 2025, and they're giving me a date. You know what? Within this 2020, this particular date, all documents, and there are like in for that particulars. I'm just giving the state, but this is not the actual state. And but for that particular state, there are about like 4 million documents that needs to be transferred. There are so many member foster care children enrolled in that program. So how am I going to transfer all those documents? And then what is the frequency? What's the format? Business owners, they are not technical people, right? So they don't understand what I'm asking. When I say doc type, they are like, what do you mean by doc type? And what do you mean by metadata file? So I'm like, do you know what is a metadata file? It's a CSV file, or it's a CSV file, or it's going to be an XML file or a JSON file. What kind of file it is? Can you tell me? They also don't know about it. So this is like when this is a situation where you need to explain things to the stakeholders on what does data exchange mean when two different systems and they are external vendor, the file is coming from state and then I am an insurance company, how the data needs to be exchanged and how I have to talk, somehow I have to talk with state engineers, and you're not allowing me to talk because it's a protocol. So anyway, business owners only have to talk. So I'm just telling you these are so I have to explain business owners on like everything in detail on what is a zip file, inside a zip file, what is a how does a PDF document needs to be there, what is a format, what is a metadata file, what is the rows and columns in the metadata file, how would like without even like for example this every child will have a member ID, right? That member ID and our member ID needs to match, otherwise there will be fallouts and I cannot load the document into our system. So she's like, why don't you just transfer? Why don't they have 4 million PDFs? Just tell me how long it's going to load into our system. And I have to explain to her, like, that's not how IT works. I cannot simply load into, this is not something like I put something in a common folder path, right? For every PDF or every document you're going to send, I need the member ID, member name, first name, last name, date of birth. I need to know what kind of document it is. Only then I can load. And it needs to come in a certain format. If it's a zip file, it needs to be there, needs to be, tell me when it will be coming. What is the name of the zip file? And accordingly, I have to talk with the like internal like data transfer team on this is the file format, what is the volume of that file. Frequently, it's going to come, naming conventions. And once the file is coming, when it needs to be unzipped and what kind of validations we are going to do. For example, if member ID is invalid, we don't accept that document. And if the file format is invalid, we don't accept the document. If the naming conventions are not correct, we don't accept the document. So there are like validations as an ID team we have to do, right? I have to explain everything to them. Only then she's like, oh, that makes sense. Now I have to show. So should I schedule a call with the state engineers? Of course, you have to schedule. If you cannot do that, if state is not very cooperative, then I will give you a BRD. Just share it with them. So what I did is because usually the state engineers, right? They are like, this is a mandate for you. Why should we cooperate? So they are not bothered. So what I did is like I created a BRD saying like this is the expectation from our team. Zip file needs to be in this particular naming convention. This is how the PDFs needs to be loaded. This is the metadata file needs to be in this particular format. And uh, tell me this alone, like, can you please confirm whether if it's what is the frequency of the file and how much volume we are expecting? We know it's 4 million documents, but for every zip file, what is the file volume? Everything I have to do it in the BRD. Then I gave that to the business owners. Business owners shared that to the state engineers. Then we came to terms on what are the requirements, even though in UAT we had so much defects, but somehow we were able to do this project. So at what situation you have to like convince the stakeholders, usually like this technical requirements, data exchange requirements, file formats and all, they have no clue. They don't know what is SFTP setup, how a file is being picked up from an external vendor and how it's being dropped into our systems, what tools we use to unzip the file, what kind of validations we are doing in backend, and if there are fallouts, what kind of rules that we are going to follow. What do you mean by ACK file? If we receive a zip file, we are going to send an acknowledgement file back to the state. They have to receive that within some amount of time. So all this, like whenever you are going to tell me a situation how to convince the stakeholders, please take a technical requirement and then explain to the interviewer, like there was a particular technical requirement which the business owners didn't understand, and I told them this is how the process is, and they got convinced. So always take a technical requirement if you want to convince, because they are non-technical people, right? So I'm just giving an example from my project. Any doubts on like how to convince the stakeholders?
So not everybody has their own technical team, right? I think only a few, not few, like, I mean to say not everybody has their own technical people.
No, usually if you are a scrum team, your developers will be there, no?
Yeah, but in this case, what you explained, they didn't know what is metadata. They didn't know what is
No,
documented.
our business owners, they didn't know.
Okay.
So see, the file is coming from a different vendor, but they are not, I cannot talk with them.
Hmm.
I cannot schedule call with state engineers because the protocol is like I have to talk. So if, especially in US, right, if this state related projects, I cannot schedule call with that vendor. So business owners, they will be only talking to the vendors. So that's like that will become crazy because I will explain something technically and she's going to transfer something different to them. They don't understand and then they keep coming back to me.
So these were your own people who were.
So
Oh,
business owners are our people, our
oh,
our colleagues.
okay.
But state of North Carolina, their engineers are, I mean, government jobs. That's different, right? That's like state. State is like the state will have their own IT team.
Right. So you didn't have calls with them?
Yeah, no, I didn't have even zero. I didn't have even one call with them.
Okay.
It's their protocol. They don't come. They don't join calls. They just share documents. Only our business owners will have call with them. Because why? Because because they have the power. For example, they feel like now we cannot do this. They give that project to a different insurance. You got it? So, for example, we ask them too many questions, and then they feel like, okay, now Cigna can. I don't think Cigna is going to do this within next 2 to 3 months. They can actually outsource that project to Aetna only. They have that capability. They can,
Right.
so business owners won't take that risk. They'll keep the call very polished. They and whatever questions I'm asking, they'll send it as like documents to the state. And this is like for major insurance companies, like whenever there is a state call, usually business owners or maybe leadership will join that call and they'll handle it very well because they don't want to lose that project, and they'll make sure that IT teams don't interact with the vendors IT teams. This is like we are getting project from the state, right? So
Like they are so much scared to ask, like, what is the
yeah, they're
document?
very scared of penalties, very scared of like whether they won't get this project.
Right.
Hmm. Because it is like so much money. So it's like I just see that in CMS, like, it's like $50 million projects and all, very expensive projects. So they don't want to lose that. See how much just for this um, some kind of program funding is 50 billion.
Civil, yeah.
So it's like a massive project. They don't want to lose that because some IT team member asked some kind of question, they got upset.
Right.
Yeah. So usually they're very careful. So they make sure that they handle internally our people, like all of our questions, they will handle. They will get documents from us and they'll share the documents to the state. Usually state don't understand that and they'll come up with their own thing. And for this kind of projects, the biggest headache is during UAT testing, right? So what is UAT? Now state is sending the some kind of test document to us. And I've already given them a BRD on how the document should look like, the zip file should look like. But in UAT, right, nothing will be like as expected. So I have to again tell my business owners on, see, whatever UAT file the state has sent, and it's not all matching the BRD that I sent to them. Can you please ask them to resend it? So for this one particular project, they are resending it for like more than 5 times. And every time I have to say, see, now zip file is not correct. Now metadata file name is not correct. Now, like all these PDFs are not, the PDF naming, the name of the PDFs is not correct. I have to correct each and every single time and ask them to resend the test file. They keep sending one or the other something like they they will send it. After the fifth time, they send me correctly. I use that UAT file as the last test file, and we like made sure it's loaded and it's populating to other teams as I expected, and got the sign off from business. So the problem is, since we are not directly dealing with the other engineers, now we have to assume that they are going to send it correctly, and in actual UAT environment only you will know and you will fix that error. So that is the headache in all these state projects. Okay. But see, I mean, I don't know whether you can. So this is from my experience. I'm saying I'm telling about a situation. How did I convince the stakeholders? But whatever projects that you've added in your resume, you take a particular technical requirement, which is a very complex technical requirement. Tell them that business owners didn't understand it, and I've explained to them. And after I explained, they got convinced. Okay. Okay. Now, next question is questions on what
Ma'am,
is
can I
your
ask a quick question?
this, Puneet?
Ma'am, in USA, which domain, as per you, is like uh, should we go for like
The
in banking,
top two domains are healthcare and banking.
healthcare, and banking?
Mhm.
And ma'am, insurance comes under banking only, or is it
Healthcare,
separate?
healthcare. So there are like multiple types of insurance. If it's health
Hmm.
insurance, then it comes under healthcare. You have property and casualty insurance. You have life insurance. You
Okay,
have
okay.
auto insurance.
So mostly healthcare, we should go aim for healthcare and banking domains here
Yeah,
in
they are very
US, right?
popular, and you and all in most of the states, right? You'll be able to get some kind of job. But there are other domains too. But these two are very popular.
Okay, okay, okay. And ma'am, are you based in like North Carolina?
No, I'm in Georgia.
Georgia. Okay, okay.
Gotcha. So I'm working for a major insurance company. So that's why I'm giving examples and all this insurance
Okay,
based scenarios.
okay, okay.
Okay. So
All right,
okay.
ma'am.
So then we have something called as questions about what is your career goal, and then what is your strength and weakness, and then what is your why do you want to join our company?
Strength and weakness is anything or just related to work?
No, they generally ask you what is your strength and weakness. So I'm just going to ask you guys, so what is your career goal? For this question, what are you going to, what is your answer?
First, I want to start as a BA because I haven't worked in BA.
Okay. What about others? Shruti? Shruti, what is your career goal? If they ask this question in the interview. Shruti is on mute. What about Lakshmi?
Uh, as a BA, apart like according to company goals, reaching that as well as uh, having a good growth in the company I work.
Okay. What is your strength and weakness?
Coming to the strength, I'm really good at dealing with the stakeholder as well as the team. I make sure I coordinate them accordingly and to reach the whatever the stakeholders' requirements to meet the expectations. I'm really good at that. And coming to my weakness, um, sometimes I feel like losing confidence sometimes is my definitely it is my weakness, like whether I can do it or not. Sometimes I become blank, so I should not say that, but it is what it is. So it is my weakness.
Why do you want to join our company?
um, the comp like as it is definitely, it is a part of my career, and the company the company is looks like very promising. The company looks very promising to me to build my career, as well as company's long term goal is definitely a good vision. So where I if I'm the part of the company, I feel my growth, as well as like I can completely dedicate my work to the company, where it will also reach the company's vision.
Okay. Mm. So, whenever you're telling career goals, right, always make sure you're saying like you want to become an SME in like in business analysis. So for example, don't say my career goal is to become a product owner or my career goal is to become a project manager. Don't say that. That means you don't have a clear vision on what you want to become. They're asking you this question because they want to know whether
Pradeep,
you.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please tell these things as per for beginners as well as the people who have the experience as well.
So see, for beginners, if you're joining as a junior BA, if they ask you about like what is your career goal in the span of next 5 years, so you're going to say that in the span of next 5 years, I want to become a lead BA.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Now I have not started my career, but the next span of 5 years, I want to become a lead BA. That's all. You stop there. But if you are a lead BA, then if they ask you about what do you want to become, you can always say that I want to become like a lead advisor, or I want to become um, like I want to mentor my junior BAs, something like that. So see, the person who is like mostly interviewing you, asking about your career vision and all, they want to know whether you are very ambitious. For example, if you are a junior BA and you want to become a project manager in 5 years, then you are not realistic, right? So they want to know whether do you have that vision clearly defined in you. Do you understand the how IT team works? So if there is a manager is sitting in that call and they want to know what is your career vision, please be smart. Say something like technically. I want to learn about AI. I want to learn about all this like tools available in the market. I want to make sure that I want to learn this new domain. So why do you want to join our company? For example, if it's a banking sector, just say that I want to learn about this domain and I want to like make sure that add that experience in my resume and I want to like become more a technical BA because that's see from a manager's perspective, they want to know do you want to they want to know that whether you have that urge in you to learn new things. What is the trend in current market? You need to have experience in new like all the CRM applications, Salesforce, Pega, something. You have to have knowledge in that Workday or some kind of domain experience or some kind of all these AI tools, right? So you need to say that I have interest to learn that only. That is going to be my career goal. Don't jump from junior BA to something. I want to become a scrum master or I want to become like a product owner. I want to become like a manager. Don't tell that. For juniors BA, next 5 years, you can become a lead BA, you can become an SME and focus on learning only. So if I join your company, I'll have that scope, right, to learn from your projects. I will learn so much thing. I'm very curious. I can contribute to that particular project. I will also learn, but I can also contribute.
Yeah, this is the learning stage for.
Yes, you cannot be like very ambitious. And you will see sometimes that project manager will be like, they don't like they don't like people who are very smart also, who can like take over their jobs. You are a lead BA and they know like you're very smart. They will have that insecurity whether like in a span of 5 years, if I hire this person now will build rapport with my manager and this person can bypass me, right? So that insecurity will be there with all the project managers. They may not tell you, but they'll make sure that they'll always hire people who are not very smart. They want people who can follow instructions but should not be very smarter than them. So how are you going to handle? That's why they ask all these questions. Tell me about your career goal. What is your strength and weakness? Why do you want to join our company and all that? And when it comes to strength and weakness, don't say that what answer Lakshmi. You should never say I have no low confidence.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that, like, what are the weaknesses you should not share?
Yeah, weakness. Never say I have low confidence. I'll become blank and all. That's like you admitting your real weaknesses, right?
True, true,
Don't
true.
so don't say that. So weakness. So usually like be very diplomatic. Just say that I am a workaholic and I don't like I always like I have to take care of my health. I want to go to the gym, but I don't have time because I'm constantly working. I'm very ambitious, so I spend most of the time working. So make sure that weakness is also strength for them. It's weakness for you, but for them it's a strength. So indirectly you're saying that I need to focus on my health, I need to go for the gym, or I need to develop some kind of hobby, something like that. Don't tell like you have low confidence, because that's a primary skill of a BA,
That's true. Yeah.
right? And if you say that is your weakness, then the interviewer like, oh my god, I don't want to hire someone with low confidence who become
True,
blank
true.
in all the calls and all that.
Yeah, that is very important.
Yeah,
Yes.
very important, right? You have somehow you need to manage the stakeholders or recitation. All these calls you have to manage. You can never go blank and all that, right? So be
Mm.
very careful when we say strength. You can say I'm a multitasker, I'm a very good learner, and I'm very workaholic, I'm ambitious. You can say whatever in strength. Strength is not a problem. When it comes to weakness, please answer diplomatically.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, strength can be like you have nice documentation skills,
Okay.
and you can like write a BRD in a couple of hours. You can say that. And you can always you have like good time management skills, crisis management skills. If there is a crisis, you immediately know you're not stuck with the crisis, right? You immediately like know how to manage that crisis. So all that
So,
will come under strength.
yeah, coming to the strength, can I include AI as a strength also, Pradeepa?
Yeah, you can say that I've done some
Because
kind
it
of
is current trend. Yeah,
yeah,
I
a kind
did
of
some course.
certifications and all.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
all that certifications, additional learning, all this can come under strength. Strength is
okay.
usually not a problem. When you tell about weakness, be
Yeah,
careful.
sure, sure.
Okay, because they're like, and don't tell that's technical weakness also. So some of my students will say, weakness, I don't know SQL. That is my weakness. Okay, so don't talk about technical weakness also.
Yes.
I don't know about reporting. That is my weakness. So don't tell all that in weaknesses.
Yeah.
Okay. So just say something diplomatically and then make sure that you just focus on the strength perspective. And
Mhm.
from a weakness perspective, just say a couple of things. And that means like that also needs to be a strength to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Then why do you want to join a company? So so mainly about you're going to talk about domain. So let's say if it's banking, just focus on banking and research about that company. For example, you're going to a Wells Fargo company, then talk about how Wells Fargo did yesterday in market, and what are their latest like products that they have. For example, what type of credit cards they started giving, what kind of a rewards program they got into. So research about that company in last 1 week, what is happening in that company, and then you have to tell them. So I want to join Wells Fargo because I want to learn more about online banking, about mobile banking applications, or about all this. So just impress them when you talk about why I'm so much why I am the ideal candidate. So they will also ask you about why should I select you. Tell me like why should I select you? What is different in you? I have like 50 people coming to this interview. Why should I select you? That is also a question. So you have to say that you should. So I'm asking you this question. If they ask you like why should I select you? What are you going to say? Why do you think you are the ideal candidate for this role?
I have track record of reaching the stakeholders' expectations.
Hmm. There are about 10 people.
Yeah.
Why
Because of
should I select you?
and clear communication skill and
Hmm.
stakeholder management. So
Okay. Puneet.
I would say like I have the skills and experience needed for the job, and the job duties are very relevant to my prior experience. And I'm also willing to learn more and grow with the team. So
Mm.
that makes me different for this role.
Okay. Menace.
I'll say I'm very customizable and flexible because I'm just a starter. So that in that point of view, I'm gonna answer their questions.
Mm-hmm. Sangeeta. Why should I select you, Sangeeta?
Yeah, so I think I bring strong analytical thinking and clear communication skill, and I'm generally interested in understanding the business problems, and I can effectively gather the requirements and communicate with the stakeholders and translate business need uh, into a structured solution for the technical team.
Mm.
So, and I'm also eager to learn and adopt quick technologies, which will help me to value this project and as a project as a business analyst in this organization.
Okay, yeah. So whenever you're answering about like um that, and you're going to convince them like I'm the ideal candidate, right, for this particular role, you should be a little bit very confident in whatever you're saying. So you're going to say that so I'm very good in documentation. Okay, so these are the keywords that you're going to use.
Even if you're a beginner, can you say use this? I'm very good in documentation.
Yeah, you see, for documentation, you don't need to have any kind of job experience. You can learn how to write BRDs, FRDs using all this. You can also practice by yourself. It just takes an like MS Word, right? So you can say that, because otherwise for beginners, right, they have nothing to say to them.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. What do I say?
Yeah, so just documentation, both can say, senior BAs can say, juniors also can say, and you know how to draw diagrams. Okay, so just talk about diagrams. So you're very good in documentation. I can write BRDs, FRDs, SRS. I can write user stories. I can also draw all this kind of process flow diagrams, data flow diagrams,
If we are
and
applying for senior role, if we say diagrams, will they ask to draw any? They give example, and will they ask
this
Pradeepa?
is usually at the end of the interview, so I don't think they're going to ask you.
Okay, okay.
These questions will come like mostly at the end of the interview.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're going to just say, as a BA, I have all the core BA skills. Okay, so I am very good in documentation. I can draw any kind of diagrams, all these diagrams I can draw. Then I'm very good at, I have proven experience. If you're an experienced BA, you're going to say that I have proven experience on all this leading like major projects and all these migration projects or any kind of like very difficult projects. I have handled all like almost, I have led like 10 to 15 people, both on site and offshore. I have collaborated with multiple vendors, and I have also had experience in working with different domains. So if you have experience, you can tell that, and just say that coming like if you have experience, it's very easy to say why should I select you, right? So I proven experience in all this agile methodology, very difficult projects, migration projects, different domains. I've handled external vendors and onshore and offshore team, and I have very closely worked with the project managers and know most of the project manager techniques and their documentations too. I can be very helpful for a project manager. If you hire me, why should you hire me? Because I can be very helpful for the project manager on a documentation level, on leading projects. So all this budgeting, forecasting, all that I know, right? So that makes me the ideal candidate. But if you're a junior BA, then you are going to mostly tell about AI tools. So you have experience, some kind of certification. Say that I'm already certified in um, all this like AI tools, or like I'm a very curious learner. So latest trend, whatever is there in the market with all these AI tools, I know how to use it, and very good in documentation, drawing diagrams. That much only you can say for junior BAs. You cannot give anything like experience from projects, right? So you cannot say I've handled people and all that and all. You cannot say for a junior BA.
Right.
Okay, but when you're answering this question, please be very confident. Don't tell I know how to draw diagrams, and then if they ask you something, so that's why like whatever diagrams you're going to, I've shown you here, right? Please learn about all these diagrams, and whatever you know only you're going to say. I know about swim lane means you need to know what is swim lane, how to draw swim lanes, what are the symbols used in swim lanes. You need to know that. Okay, so whenever you say I know to draw diagrams, just specifically say whatever you know only, that only you're going to showcase. Don't say something that you don't know. Okay, so career goals is something you're going to say in next 5 years. What do you want to become? Mostly about technical SME. You want to become something like that. Then in strength, always. So strength, you can say everything. Weakness, please be very careful. Then what do you want? I mean, why do you want to join our company? Talk about their what they have done in last 2 weeks, what kind of domain, and kind of like how you are impressed, and how this is going to be an ideal or dream job, something like that. You're going to convince them. Then why should I select you? Just say out of 10 people, you're very good in like this one particular skill. That you have to somehow convince, and be very confident when you're telling that. Okay, any questions on all this, like behavioral
Hi,
questions?
Kavita. How
Yes.
to showcase our experience as a proven experience in the projects if we are experienced person?
So do you already have IT experience or no?
I have a manual tester experience like SIT integration, but not as a BA. So how to showcase that?
So for the same project that you have worked on, did you have a BA in your team?
It was an enhancement project. I can able to see the BA documentation, but not exactly what the duties
What
of a
they're
BA.
doing? Okay. So who will be like writing the? Are you did you work in agile environment? Who is going to write the user story for you?
It's a BA.
So they do it, right? But you don't know how. So you're not in the calls and all. So you just pick up the user stories and start testing.
Yes.
Mm. So when that particular user story, what kind of documentation they're adding and what kind of detailing they're adding, like you can review that, and you, but somehow you're going to say that you did that in your project.
They will be completely information into the Confluence page, completely like whatever you have said, those things.
Mm.
But few of the requirements of a BI is asking for the proven experience to be showcased.
See, proven experience means like you are telling it's proven. On papers, I don't see the designation if it's very like common. Then that is during background check, but during interview, right? If you have to somehow convince for the same project you worked as a BA and SA. If you are going to say that you have experience, let's say you're going to say I have 3+. You also have experience as a BA. So if you're in your last project or current project that you worked on, just say that you worked as both BA and tester, and you're going to like, if they ask something BA related questions, you need to answer that to some that to that level you have to prepare. But I don't think you are being invited to any elicitation calls, so you will have not you won't have any experience on how elicitation calls works, how BA interacts with stakeholders and all. You have no idea, right, how they do.
Yes, brother.
Mm. That's that. So with this, when you have a separate testing team, then usually like BA, they do everything, they write user stories, and testers usually like pick up that user story and they start testing. So I think you won't have any chance to do that. But
Yes.
if you're going to showcase for the same project that you are working, right, you can tell that you worked both as a BA and a tester.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, good. I think we are good for today. So tomorrow it will be our last day. So if you have any other questions, I'll try to cover whatever I have left. And then if you have any other questions, you can ask me tomorrow. But tomorrow will be our last session.
Yeah, I
Pradeep,
would
can
like
you
to.
explain like little bit of prototype, how to do the prototype?
So, okay. So prototypes, and then what else?
I would like to know about the burn down chart
Burn
and
down chart. Okay.
and like in not so technical BA, what kind of technical question we can expect? What kind of technical thing we should practice before giving the interview?
Other technical questions?
Yeah.
Pradeepa, resume building for beginners.
Okay. Resume for beginners.
Like I'm not able to figure out that how much technical knowledge we should have, like SQL or Python. I'm not sure.
Mhm. Yeah, in India, I think they want all of that, right? So they may
Yeah.
ask more technical questions if you are applying to service-based companies.
Yeah, they're
Mm.
asking Python, R,
Mm.
um, Tableau,
Tableau,
Power.
all of that, Power BI, everything like that. I think it's more technical in India,
Mm.
especially service-based, and you're targeting mid-level or like those kind of roles, no? So they're asking more questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And also, ma'am, how to crack like real-time scenarios like for the beginners? Like, is there any like documents or something we can refer?
Yeah, sometimes for beginners, there's an assessment that's given.
I mean, in the interviews, if we put like some experience, like in the banking and the health sector, like where can we find like real-time scenarios that would be
Yeah,
helpful?
that's see, they may ask you, right, like in background check. So if you're going to put like some sample projects that's available on internet, that's fine.
Mm,
But if they're going to put something like you worked as a freelancer, you volunteered somewhere, or like
yeah,
that means then they in background check they're going to ask those details.
yeah. I mean, to explain like those scenarios, like, is there like any helpful documents like somewhere in the internet, like we can refer?
Like sample projects,
Yeah, like real-time sample ones. Yeah.
simple projects. Yeah, I'll try to find out. But so the problem is like they may ask, how did you do? What did you do for that project?
Yeah.
So
Pradeepa, case studies are fine, or we have to include this
mm,
projects as well.
yeah, I mean, see, adding projects is not a problem, but if they ask more questions to it, you should be able to answer. You can find something online and add a project, okay, like a something that you have done. But they ask you like, how did you do? Tell me
Yeah,
what.
like
That's the problem.
internally
Yeah,
APIs and everything. Like if you
how
don't
did you
have
do?
any
And like
idea.
that, they ask. That's when you will not like further questions.
Mm,
You may not
yeah.
answer it. So that's where I'm worried. Instead, you can honestly say that you have only theory knowledge for beginners, right?
But we
Yeah.
can take any case studies from the books.
Yeah, case studies you can take. Case studies you can say, take a particular case study, and you can say that for this particular case study, I have done like I have drawn diagram for this particular use case. I have drawn a use case diagram for this particular use case. I have written a user story like that. You can show to them.
Pradeepa,
So,
will
in
you
your
be
experience, what questions have you seen they ask for beginners?
So see, beginners usually they may ask about CBAP questions. So I mean this IABA questions, right? BABA questions. Okay. So yeah, so you're asking about beginners, right? So see, mostly for beginners, they ask you about like, okay, when did you pass out? What kind of BA? It's theoretical. What kind of resources that you use to gain knowledge about BA? So mostly
Pradeepa, and
questions.
also I have a very huge career gap. Last time I worked in human resources back in before coming to United States in 2013. And
Mm,
since then I didn't work anywhere because I did not have work visa that time.
mm.
So now how do I cover this career gap? Sure,
Since
I have
you
to
do,
be very strong in the interview for beginners.
mm. See, so you have to see, since you don't have that work permit, right? That is a valid reason. But if you're coming, when did you get your work permit?
That was back in 2020. And I had a
Mm.
baby that time and I couldn't. No.
So that's the, yeah. So if that personal reasons and all is totally in US. If you're in US, it's totally fine. But they're going to ask you about now you want to transition from like HR to BA. Why do you want to transition? And like, see, in the market, people do have actual experience and they're unable to crack an interview, right? So somehow you have to convince the interviewer like you are an ideal candidate. So like they can ask anything like from tell me the techniques and what are the documentations you have done. So if you're going to apply for junior like BA roles, usually they ask from this BAPAC book and they ask about all this documentation. Definitely they'll ask about documentation, diagrams, and they may give you a use case and ask about how do you write user stories. All these very simple questions only. They are not going to ask you something like, because you don't have any experience, they are not going to ask you about how did you handle stakeholders or tell me like how the project goes live, what is change request, that and all they are not going to ask. They are going to ask mostly like the core BA questions only to you.
Right.
So just prepare for that, and then I mean, for career gap, you have to be honest with them.
Okay.
If you're going to go for junior BA roles, you have to be honest with them.
Yeah, I want to start as junior BA because I don't want to fake the experience and then get caught and then get embarrassed with their questions and all those stuff. So,
Right. So you can be honest. Just say that due to personal reasons, but I'm back to the market again. But so they're like, then why should I hire you? So you'll be very confident in that interview. You should not look like you have that career gap, right? So what I want you to do is like have some sample all this use case studies and do some kind of documentation, show it to them, somehow impress them.
okay.
Okay, good. So yeah, I have to drop, I have to join another call, but thank you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.